The day that Jesus was born was probably not exactly the way that Mary and Joseph dreamed it would be. Most people who are about to have a baby dream that they're going to be near family, friends, be able to celebrate with them, show pictures, let grandma and grandpa hold the baby, that sort of thing. Most people about to have a baby dream of an environment that's, sanitary. And yet, that family did not get to have that at all. Mary and Joseph were in Bethlehem when Jesus was born. They're not from Bethlehem. They're from Nazareth. Nazareth is way up in the north of Israel, and Bethlehem is way down in the south of Israel. They were there because the government was requiring them to go there for the census. And so they're far away from the people that they love back home. And there's no way of them notifying them that they just had a baby. Can't FaceTime grandma and grandpa. So they're there on their own. And of course, there's no room at the inn, the gospel tells us. That just means, really, people would have had an extra room. Almost all the houses would have had an upstairs room on the roof, and where they would allow guests to stay. There just was no guest room available for them anywhere in Bethlehem, probably because everyone's there for this stupid census. And so they're stuck going to a stable. You've seen the bottom of a stable. You probably know what that looked like. Not the ideal circumstances for having a child. So the day of Jesus' birth was probably not exactly the way that Mary and Joseph dreamed it would be. We're told in the Gospel of Luke, right before this passage, that the angels then appeared to the shepherds who were shepherding their flocks at night. So the way this is set up, you've got Bethlehem on one hillside, then there's a little valley, and then there's an opposite hill, and there's a whole bunch of caves in the side of that hill. And we know that shepherds would use those caves for taking care of their flocks at night. You could actually tour these things if you go to Israel. The sheep would feed during the day, and then they would be taken up onto the hill, kind of ushered into the cave. It's a convenient way for the shepherd to be able to keep all the sheep together. They're away from the elements. They're away from all the other animals that think that sheep are kind of tasty. And they could just sit in the doorway and take a nap, knowing that the sheep aren't getting out without jumping over them. And so the angels come to those guys and tell them this great news that the Savior has been born, the Savior of the world. And it was a terrifying thing. The first thing the angels say is, "Don't be afraid." I'm sure that in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere probably it felt like, suddenly this host of angels is appearing to you and singing songs. So then they descend to the valley and they go up to Bethlehem to go see this. And what has just struck me, I was thinking about this last night. When the shepherds showed up, it's not like they're going to leave their sheep in the caves. I don't know how many shepherds there were. The gospel doesn't tell us. Let's say it's 5. Each shepherd probably had 20 sheep with them. That's a whole lot of sheep in tow. When the shepherds showed up to go adore this child, they had all the sheep with them. And that was the passage that we heard today of just these shepherds going there. And then after that, they just have to tell everybody about this experience. I guess there's a few things that stand out to me about that whole situation. First thing is, it's okay if your Christmas isn't exactly the way that you dreamt it would be, because it wasn't exactly the way it was. It wasn't exactly what they dreamt it would be either. I know that probably for all of us, we want our Christmas to feel like it looks like in the movies, or maybe we've got a memory of when we were 6 years old of this perfect Christmas. And it's hard when Christmas doesn't seem to line up with what we wanted it to be. Or maybe we're experiencing Christmas for the first time without a loved one. Maybe we can't be with our family this year. Maybe we're just feeling lonely or sad about the state of the world or the church or something like that. But it's okay if Christmas isn't perfect, because it's not going to keep God from breaking into it. He broke into it the first time anyway. He can break into it again this year for us as well. The second thing that strikes me is the fact that Mary and Joseph didn't get to have any of their family and friends with them to celebrate after the birth of this child. Instead, it was a whole bunch of strangers who showed up, right? It's all these shepherds on the hill who have no idea who they are. They don't know them. And I guess it's striking to me because same for us. In a way, maybe we're all being invited to adore this Christ child, especially if we don't know God. These shepherds didn't know Mary and Joseph, and maybe they didn't even know God for all we know. And for us, Christmas is for us. If we also don't know who the Lord is, There's people who can sit on our pews for years and still say they don't really know Jesus. Christmas is for them. Christmas is for you. If you don't know the Lord is coming for you. That's what Christmas is all about. The Lord has come for you so you may have a deeper encounter with him and he may give you new life. The last thing that strikes me about this passage is just that we need to let ourselves be interrupted. These shepherds were tucking in their sheep for the night. If they're up at the caves, they're tucking in those sheep. They think they're going to go to sleep now, and the angels completely interrupted what they were up to, and they let themselves be interrupted. They weren't annoyed by these angels. After the angels left, they decided they're going to go and adore this little child. We're invited to do the same thing. Let God interrupt your Christmas. Make the time for some prayer. Make the time for some gratitude with the Lord today. Look for those little signs that God is breaking into your life. Today and every day, God really wants to break in. Let the Lord interrupt you. So today, maybe Christmas isn't exactly the circumstances that you dreamt it would be, but God's going to break in anyway because God's doing something great.